Okay, good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Tochku, and I am the lead for GTG on Campus, University of Nigeria. And welcome to our second day for our workshop, Forge and Frame. Today, we'll be walking into the world of game development alongside our teacher and speaker, Chimzuruoke Emmanuel, and he will be guiding us through game development as it is using modern tools that are used to develop games, right? We'll be building a live game, right, with him, and we'll have a pretty much hands-on experience learning how to build games. Yeah, if you haven't registered on the platform, if you eventually found yourself in this meeting, in this Google Meet without registering on the platform, please kindly register right now. And if you know your friends who registered for these events and are not currently here, you can remind them of the time and get them to start coming because we are already started. Okay, I will be okay. I'll just give a brief introduction to who our speaker is. So, Chimzuruoke Emmanuel, aka Zurus06, is the founder of Vecna Games. He is a game developer, renowned game developer, who has a lot of experience in developing games. So this is as much as I can say. I would let him complete the introduction by himself. So welcome on stage, James Roque. We are so glad to have you speak to us. Welcome.
Okay, thank you to Ochuku for the introduction. He said that I should introduce myself and add some other details about myself. So, okay, basically, I'm a game developer. I'm the founder of Vecna Games, a gaming studio. We build interesting games for, you know, gamers and so on. So today, I'm going to be taking you guys on the topic. First of all, let me share my screen before I continue talking. Um, So just signify if you can see my screen just with a thumbs up. That's when it don't comes up. Yeah, so if you can see my screen, please thumbs up. Okay. Sorry, this is not what's supposed to be seen. Okay, so I'm going to be taking you on this session. And the name of the session is Breaking the Ice in Game Development. So the reason it's called Breaking the Ice is because we are not coming here to, you're not going to come and learn the whole game development under a 1 hour call. I'm so sorry if that's disappointing, but we cannot. It's not possible to learn everything in game development under 1 hour. But I'll try as much as possible to, it's just like when you have a jar in the kitchen, a jar of pickles. I'm just trying to loosen it for you so you can now explore the area of game development on your own. And please, before I move on, I want to just beg. So there's this thing, most of us that in church, when they are preaching, after some time, they'll be like, ride on pastor or something like that. I would like some people just give me some reactions here so I know that we are following. You get? I hope that's just so I'll be sure that people are listening to what I'm saying. And I'll make sure this session is going to be as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, drop it at the comment section. I'll periodically be checking the comment section to see the questions and try and answer as much as I can. So I hope that is clear. And we'll be starting now. I'm very glad to be here. Like, thank you, GDG, for this opportunity. So, as you can see, my name is Zurus06. Tochukwu has introduced me already. And my full name is Chimzuruoke NMO. I'm CEO of Vecna Games. This is our logo here. So now, before we started this course, before I started this call, I had to go and browse what game development is, because game development is like it's very simple. like the word game development is act of developing games. Anybody can piece two and two together to get that definition. So I asked ChatGPT for a definition, and I remember that we are using Google Call. So I used Gemini. I asked Gemini, what is game development? And all this is just grammar, but I just wanted to see it from another person's perspective. So they said game development, according to Gemini, is the multifaceted process of creating video games. When they say multifaceted, that means like it involves many areas. That's what it just means. Multifaceted is like multiple faces, so it has various areas. Like, how will I describe it now? But it just has various areas in like that game development. So they say that it's the most fundamental process of creating video games, encompassing the entire journey from an initial idea or concept to the final polished and released product. Then now this is me adding a little to it. They now said game development does not just mean producing video games, it means producing well-rounded games. And that addition may look like nothing, but it's very, very, very important because a well-rounded game is what really sets you apart in the game development market. There are a lot of game development companies in Nigeria. I can name some. I know of Skudu Labs. I know of Malio. There are many other game companies in Nigeria, but the thing that sets you apart from them, the thing that makes you unique, you all know this thing in software engineering. What is that? What is your competitive advantage? Is being able to create well-rounded games. So without further ado, I'll be going into the components of a game. So, I mean, components, elements, all of them kind of the same thing. So, the elements of a game are like what makes up a game. You get what and what is together to form a game. And we see that the elements of a game are goal. It must have a goal. There must be rules, player actions or mechanics, and then there will be challenges and measurable outcomes. So, I'm going to take this thing, like, let's go down to like let's just assume that we are not talking about video games development, we're talking about games in general. There are a lot of games we know about, and I'll just listen. If you know any other one, you can just drop it in the comments. We have I listed some here. We have rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors is one of the oldest games I've known. Everybody knows of rock, paper, scissors. At this point, it's no longer even a game, it's now more of a strategy to use and find out who is better, who is going to do a chore or something like that. Like, who's going to take out the trash? Like, let's rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, something like that. Then we have Tetris. So now this one, we're talking about mobile games. Tetris is one of the most addictive games I've seen. That's for me. I don't know about any other person. It's very, very addictive. Another one we have is Subway Surfers. Okay, I can see, so you say chess. Chess is also a game, although sometimes I can say it's too hard to call it a game. It's more like analytical reasoning and stuff. But now what is something that you notice about all these games, right? They have these 4 components. They all have a goal, and the goal in most of them is just to win. Tic-tac-toe, okay, that's another example of game. So your goal is to what? Win, to outplay your opponent, to get more. You'll be like, okay, first 3. Okay, let's do rock, paper, scissors, the first to 3. So we'll play rock, paper, scissors multiple times and find out who gets the 3-0 or 3-1 or 3-2 first. So that's the goal. Then there are some rules. So rules are what guides that game. So when it comes to rules, I'm talking about, let me say in rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to use rock, paper, scissors a lot because it's very simple and very easy to understand. So what are the rules in rock, paper, scissors? They say that the rock breaks the scissors, Abi. The scissors cut paper cover rock. Just leave about the logic now. I know it does not sound logical or anything, but just understand what's like the component of rules are in that game. Then we're not talking about player actions. So when we talk about player actions, what are the things that the players can do in that game? So there are 3 actions there. It's either you beat the rock, or you beat the paper, or you beat the scissors, right? So challenges and measurable outcomes is a different. There are challenges in rock, paper, scissors, right? But it's a very, very simple game to have like a category called challenges and measurable outcomes, but we'll still touch it in other games, right? As I'm explaining. So in the player actions, I've explained what that is under the concept of rock, paper, scissors, and I've talked about measurable outcomes. So now let me just take another game, for example. Now we talk about Tetris. Tetris, what is the goal? The goal is for you to be able to get to last longest in the game. Like, that's depending on who created the game, actually. Some people can create an adaptation of Tetris now, and then they'll be like, okay, this Tetris, all I want to do is that I want it to be that the user will be able to stack the highest amount of blocks, or it's based on your game design, and we'll get into game design very soon. But I just want us to understand the elements of a game. So I talked about well-rounded games in the first slide. I talked about well-rounded games. And if you look at all these components, they are not that uncommon. Like, they are very common to our various actions in life. So let me explain that. So almost everything, if this is the only thing that makes a game, then almost everything we do in this life is a game. Let me explain. Like, now you go to school. It's basically a game, because what is your objective? Your objective is to pass. What are the rules? You write exam, you go to class, 75% attendance. You know the rules now. So you want to talk about player actions. Player actions is also, what are those actions that you take to reach your goal? So there is kind of overlapping with the rules a little, but the actions you take is to read for your exam, go for classes, and so on and so forth. Then the challenges and measurable outcomes is that with each action that you take, you get a reward, like a little reward out of it. Like, let me say you have 10 courses in a semester. So you read for the first course, you pass that course. That's the challenge you have passed, and then you have got your measurable outcome. I got A. So it keeps that's just trying to explain how games are in a various life. So now, what to set your game apart from a normal task that we carry on in our daily lives is a perfect game design that sets you apart. So let me go to the next slide. So I'll be talking about the areas in game development now. So I talked about game design, and a lot of us might have not heard the term before, or maybe people think, like, when I entered into game development, I thought that game design was just like drawing arts. Like, I was confused about both of them. But game design is very, very different. I'm guessing that most of us here are into software development. Please, reaction if you can hear me. Most of us are into software development, coding in one aspect or the other. And we have heard of product design, we have heard of software design methodologies and stuff. So it's kind of similar to what game design is. Game design is like where you have to define every single thing that is going to be in that game. Like, you're going to define what is the art style, what is your program, what is your game mechanics. You define all these. Okay, if you go to the previous slide, you define all these elements of that game. You define what is the goal or objective. You define what are my rules, what are my players' actions, that's my mechanics, what are the challenges and measurable outcomes for the player. Are we following? So once you define all those things in your game design encompasses even that. Game design also includes which game art style am I using, what is kind of sound am I using, what are the player mechanics I'm using. So game design like kind of covers all these other fields. It's just the creation of the model of the game, while the other field now talk about the implementation. So I'll be going to the next field, which is game programming. Game programming is okay. Before game programming, let me go to game art and UI. So when I say art, I mean your 3D models, your game characters, the effects you see on the screen, all those things that are beautiful. Anything that is beautiful is art, I mean. So those things that are beautiful that make your game beautiful, that's where game art falls under. Both the UI, the players, animations, and so on. All of them fall under art and UI. Then we have programming. So programming is now giving life to those arts 3D models in 3D games. They are called 3D models. So programming is just carrying those 3D models that are static and dormant and then giving them life, making them to do things based on players' inputs or actions. Then we now have sound. Sound is very, very important in game, and I'll tell you why. In short, all these things are very, very important in game. But I'm going to concentrate on some that most indie game devs or most game companies in Nigeria, unfortunately, they don't adhere to them very well. And that's what makes our games like kind of mid. So sound is just basically all the sound effects that you see here in the game, like slashing sound. If it's a sword game, you have the slashing sound. If it's a if it's a first shooter game, you have the where you're shooting, the sound that it makes. Also the background music and everything. Those things they really mess. Let's say mess. They play with your mind. So it gives you like this kind of you find out that okay, after playing this game for some time, I'm kind of addicted to this game. So that's where sound come. A lot of these things help in that aspect, but sound really does that the best. Then testing. Testing, I don't think there's much explanation to be done there. But testing is just okay, now I have built out the game. So I'll check whether the game actually does what I want it to do. If it does, fine. If it does not, then we go back to the whole process of tweaking some stuff to make sure it's perfect. So on to now, I hope we are gaining wisdom as we are moving on. So when I move on to the next part, we are not going to get lost. Is there any confusion, any question from anybody? Okay, I'm not seeing any reaction. So I think we'll just move on. So now I'll talk about the dangers of having bad game design, right? The game design is like when you have a dish, you want to prepare a dish. No matter if I like how good of a cook I am, right? I get the vegetable, I get everything, and I cook it. I bring your best food. I put yam and egg, put this thing, all of them. I put them in that food, and then I forget to put the salt. That food is as good as trash. Like it's as good as trash. So that game design is like the salt of game development. So let me focus on game design for now. So as I said before, game design defines everything, both your art, your music, your whatever. And then why is game design so important? So let me give you a scenario. Let's say you're playing Call of Duty, right? I'm trying to focus on sound now. You want to say you're playing Call of Duty. I don't know that Call of Duty has any background music. I don't think it has any background music, right? But then let's say the creators of Call of Duty do some research and they're like, okay, it seems like background music used to make users to be more eager to play a game. And then they now say, okay, let's implement background music into a game. And then they now go and they're looking for soundtrack and they go and use the soundtrack for Candy Crush. I don't know whether you have played Candy Crush. And the sound of Candy Crush is just too childish. We know about it. So imagine they do something like that. Guy, playing that game is going to be boring. Like very, very boring. Imagine hearing bubble sound. Maybe when you shoot your gun, instead of you to hear like the normal AK-47 sound, you're hearing like bubbles. It does not make sense. That's how it is when you have a bad game design and then you have maybe the best programmers. Because trust me, if I see programming, arts, sound, I'm not trying to be like pessimistic, but AI can basically do most of those like things for you, like at least to an extent, right? AI can do most of them for you. But you see, having a well-balanced game design, I don't think AI can do it for you like perfectly. So game design should be your core focus. As you're moving into game development, remember the topic is breaking the ice. I'm just trying to open your eyes a little so you can see what is in game design, because what is in game development, because when you're afar, you think that, hey, this thing is very, very complex and like I need like 32 gig RAM of laptop. I remember that when I had that philosophy, you need like 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte storage, you need graphics card. You don't actually need all those things, right? So when you have a good game design, those other ones will fall in place, trust me. they'll fall in their place. And then now talk about art style in game design. Art is very, very important in games. So one of my best games, Joseph in the last session was talking about Subway Surf being the best, one of the best games in the world, even up till now. And trust me, it's very true. Because anytime Subway Surf, I do mistake and fall into the temptation of downloading Subway Surf on my phone, I tend to become like up to 10% less productive because I find myself playing that game over and over again because there's something hooking me there. Unlike other endless runner games that came out that time. Because I remember when, I think around 2018, when this game became popular, like there were a lot of endless runner games. They had Aboki Run, they had for the Christmas Run, they had Temple Run, all of them, they now had Subway Surf. But up till now, Subway Surf is still holding the standard because of what? It had a very, very nice game design. And then their art. One thing you notice about Subway Surf is that the art is unique. If you carry a Subway Surf like model from wherever it is and put it in the design, you find out that I know this art style is from somewhere. It has this uniqueness to it because of they were very apt about their game design. And that part of game design that people neglect so much is your market management. And this one will involve you having to understand how the market works in general. So what that means is like now, most games you have heard of market space. You go to market space, you buy gun, you buy extra skin and stuff. So when in game design, it's in game design that you define, okay, this gun should be 500,000. 500 coins. Why? Because by the time this person has played this game, the person will lose this coin. Like you will have played all the scenarios in your head before you assign values to the prices of items. And once you have a balance, once all the prices there are balanced, you see that it creates this kind of it makes people to want to play your game more. Let me explain. Let's say you create a game now, and then in that game, there's a level that you need a lot of, like, there are a lot of enemies that are going to attack you at that level. So you need like a power up, and then you now put that power up in your market space. Okay, buy this power up to be able to cross through this level. Depending on that, people will tend to be like, wow, let me try as much as possible to gather enough coins so I can get this item that will help me to continue the game. Because one thing about game is that people want to be challenged. So that challenge that you're giving them is what is right, like pushing them to move on. So game design is, I hope I've been able to explain to you guys and not confuse you guys that game design is the salt of game development. If there's no game design, game development is very, very sloppy. Yeah. So now for today, we are going to follow this. We are going to be having a like hands-on session. The hands-on session we are going to have today, it's not going to be, I'm not going to come and start teaching you what is C#, what is Unity. Okay, maybe I'll probably define what Unity is. But like, I'm not going to come and start teaching you programming in depth, but I'll just try to show you that these things are not hard, right? So before I go into this game programming part, I want to just say a short story about how I entered my own game development. So fast forward to like 2022. 2022 was like, let me say, the first time that I had a laptop of my own around 2022 October. And then I didn't even know how to program. I didn't know how to do anything. So I heard people are learning Python, right? And I went to go and learn Python. After learning Python, I was, coding calculators basically on my, just normal terminal code after you run it on terminal and see and just evaluate and just be learning, data structures and stuff. That's what I was doing that time. I didn't know much in game development. I didn't even know that, like, for you to do game development, you need something, game engine. So I was confused because I had no one to guide me. Everybody at home was even angry that I'm even spending too much time on my laptop in the first place. So going to now ask them, okay, please, can you pay for me? Can you help me with a course that I can use and learn this thing? Was like a big problem. But then, after some time, I checked YouTube. I started searching for game development courses. I've heard of Pygame. Pygame was my first. Pygame was my first in game development experience, right? And Pygame was I loved Pygame. Why did I love Pygame? Because Pygame is like very raw. It's not an engine, it's a framework, more of a framework. Because on Python, when you code in Pygame, everything is being done by you. Like you do the mathematics, you do the physics involved, you make sure everything looks realistic by yourself. All the calculations, the player position, the player this thing, nobody's helping you in Pygame. And I loved it. Why? Because I was this kind of person. I just loved solving at that time. We just finished writing our egg and jam. So I just loved solving maths. And then I was, I wanted to put it to good use, and then I was using it to create games. But then I found out that there was a wall I could not pass. When things get more complex, when things get more sophisticated, I just lose it. I just end that project. I don't work on it again. I just close my laptop because I'm confused. Maybe they are talking about trying to implement braking feature on cars, and then you have never heard of it before. Like you're trying to solve the math and it's not mathing. So at that point, I began to lose interest in game development. But then with time, I heard of Unreal Engine. I wanted to learn Unreal Engine, but unfortunately, my laptop was not able to carry Unreal Engine. Also, Unity, it was not able to carry Unity at that time. So I just paused my game development experience. That at that point, like I cut it short, and I went into web dev. But then I now later on, like after some years, I've now entered school 2024, 2020, 2024. I now saw this course online for Malio Game Dev course, and I started doing the course. And then the course, now when I entered Unity, I was shocked because a lot of things that I did like by myself, like velocity calculations, force calculations and stuff, they were not there in Unity. When you're outside the whole scope, you're thinking that when you enter Unity or when you enter game development, you're going to be solving maths like a maniac. You're not. You're not actually going to be solving too much maths. You have to understand how those systems, like the physics of those systems, but you don't need to solve the math there. Unity handles a lot of them for you, and you see it here now. So now, I hope my story was able to ginger you. In case you're still confused, you're still trying to find yourself and like, okay, should I enter this game development or not? I hope I've been able to clarify what it is for you. It's not all math. It's actually simple. It's actually like not that complex, right? I did not say it's not complex. I say it's not that complex. Before somebody will enter game development and say, this guy told me that it's not complex. So please, it's a little bit. But then one thing with Unity is that Unity is a very, very good engine. Joseph was reading the stats for us yesterday, and you find out that Unity has the greatest number of like developers on it currently, despite the fact that it came out later than all the other game engines that were there. Like it was the third in the like based on when they came out. What's the name? Unreal Engine was the first that came out in 1997, I think. Then Cry Engine came out 2003, 2. Then Unity came out 2003, I think. But then Unity, one thing is that they have this community, like Unity Dev community, and that Unity Dev community helps to, any confusion you have, you go to the community and then they clarify the thing and you come back, you're happy. Unlike Unreal and this thing, most times, most of their documentation is on Stack Overflow, which is like generic. You get. Okay, someone said something on the comments. Okay, yeah, I did Malio. Yeah, 2024. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's just go to the content of this slide before we move into our code. Right? So obviously this is looking like AI, but game programming is just giving life to models, as I explained. It's also the technical process of writing code, implementing algorithms that transform static 3D images into interactive, responsive, and dynamic entities within a game world. While artists can create the body, the model, programmers build the brains and nervous system that allows to move, react, and exist realistically. So that definition, I think anybody can understand it. I don't need to throw much light. But the only thing I just wanted to like capture there is that it is giving life to the models. Give life to the models. Simple. So now let's get to Unity. I have I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see my Unity screen. So just you have a blackout for like a few seconds. Okay. So first of all, for you to start working on Unity, you have to have what they call Unity Hub. Unity Hub is like a package manager. No, not package manager. Trying to look for the right word to use. It's just basically a tool that helps you manage all your projects. Yeah, a project manager for Unity. Yeah, Unity Hub is like a project manager. It does a lot for you. It's not just about your project. It also helps you store your license, because in Unity, they give you a free license to use and start. Then after some time, once you have started making millions in game development, they will now start charging you or something like that. But then this is your license. So in case you have downloaded Unity Hub and you're having problems with creating a project, if you click on refresh here, it will refresh your license, and then most times when Unity crashes, sometimes it's this refresh that is causing it. So then here, once you have downloaded Unity, you now install your Unity editor. So I'm using Unity version 2022. This the version I'm using. They have many other editions. They have Unity 6, which is the most popular one, which everybody is meant to be using. But Unity 6 is kind of heavy on the laptop. Unity in general self is heavy on laptop, and yeah, I just want to cut my coat according to my size. I mean, how the TikTok am. I don't want to crash my laptop. So I'm using Unity 2022. So now we have our project up here, and I'm not going to open it now because I already have them open on the Unity editor, just to avoid, Unity takes time to load. So, but don't try it at home. I opened two projects at the same time on Unity. Like a laptop, poor laptop will crash, please. So let me switch my sharing to the game development environment. So now I'm going to be showing you what we are expected to build. So this is what we expected to build. Can we see my screen? Please react. Okay, you can see my screen. Everybody can see my screen. That is perfect. So okay, I was playing the game before the call. So what we are supposed to implement here is it's nothing much. Nothing much, as I said. I'm just trying to show you, help you understand what game development is. Okay, so realistic deadlines, no. The Unity Hub does not give you deadline, please. Unity is just for managing your license and your projects. That's all. They don't care about the deadline. Yeah. So I didn't even talk about Unity version control. You can use Unity version control to, collaborate on projects with people. I've never used it though. I use Git. Git is the most common, right? But if you are interested in using Unity version control, you can just research on it. So let's just continue. So now this is what you're supposed to build. So let me show you the simulator parts well. Okay, I think my camera is ahead. So what you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to just basically move around the obstacles. So imagine this is a driving course. You add a lot of obstacles for the user. So the user I'm moving forward, right? I'm moving forward and trying to avoid the obstacles on my way. I can add more obstacles. That's what we're going to do on our own side. And then I'll now show you how game design comes into all this. So I can reverse. Shit. If I pull out of the rail. Okay, I can reverse, I can go back, I can do anything. It's just a driving emulator. It's nothing much. So I created a new project for this thing, so we can work from the beginning to the end. And time permitting me, I'll try to make it fast as possible so we don't get bored, right? I want everybody to be active. We are going to be coding most of the time, but please, I want you to be active. And I'll not be on this Google Meet screen, basically. So as you're dropping questions or contributions in the comments, I may not be able to see it immediately, but just bear with me. So let me share my whole screen so you can see everything I'm doing. So presenting something else, entire screen. Yeah. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? Okay, close. You can see my screen, that's nice. So now let's get to, this is the demo that I created. then this is the real project. So you see how boring the real project looks. Yeah. So sorry. So we are going to first of all this project that I built now that you're seeing on my screen. Oh, sorry. The project you're seeing on my screen now is a new project, and the project that we built is not, we didn't build it from scratch. We already have the assets, the models, and everything. They were provided for us, right? Then for me to import those assets here, I downloaded the assets from Unity Hub. For those people that are interested in game development and you want to learn some concepts, you can go to Unity Hub. I will drop the link probably after this demo on the chat section, so you can go there and learn. Sorry, not Unity Hub, learn.unity.com. I think that's the URL. So for that, I got from one of their courses, one of their beginner courses, I brought this file. So let me import them. Okay, import assets, new package, and then I click on custom package. Same thing, it can be slow. Okay, so I've clicked on the project that I want to import, and here it is. It's loading. Give it some time. Sorry. Unity normally hangs, so it's not your laptop's fault in case your one is hanging. So when you click on all the elements here, you import them. Remember, it's not us, it's not me that created this file. I got it from Unity Hub. In case you're interested to learn more on Unity, you can go to their website to learn. I'll drop the link later. So I click on import. After some time, it really does this. It imports to my laptop. So now you can see there's, if you look here, before I go into this thing, you see that there are various sections. You have the hierarchy section. This hierarchy is just showing all the elements in your game, in your scene, right? This is your simulator. Simulator is simulating a phone, right? You can see the phone that is simulating. You can choose various phones, right? But I'm a Samsung person, so I choose not to pick an iPhone. So I pick Samsung S10e, right? So now moving to my scenes, you see that there's a scene that we created for me called prototype 1. So when I click on it, everything is looking purple and is annoying because the error we are facing here now is the render pipeline. All right, when you get into Unity proper, you understand what I mean by render pipeline and so on and so forth. It's just rendering of the images, the elements in the game. So for me to fix this, I'll go to my materials folder, my course library. I'll go to, sorry, the ground materials, and you see the material here. Okay. You see everything is looking purple. I need to import my textures. All right. So when I pick the mountain sky dome, okay. So you can see what I did. Are we clear on what I did there? It's not, you know, let me just share my Unity screen. So when I come back here, I can see your reactions. Okay. Sorry for the delay. Meet. Sorry, framed. Okay. So let me just share that screen so I can come back here and see your reactions. Okay, so now you have put the material, the texture on the correct material. So now we go to the road, we check, and we drag the correct material to the mesh renderer. Mesh renderer is what helps you with your mesh. So when you hear mesh in game development, don't be intimidated. Mesh is actually more concerned to the people that are in the arts aspect. That's Joseph, them that spoke to us yesterday. So what a mesh is like the sides, the faces of your game object, right? The faces of your game object. So now you see I drag the texture of the road onto the road. Let me expand this part more so you can see it well. So the thing with Unity, when you're doing game development, you actually need a mouse. A mouse is not, it's not like you cannot do without a mouse, but It's very important. Trust me, using your normal trackpad is not worth it. So you can see how easily I'm able to navigate this world because of I'm using a mouse, right? So without further ado, let's just get on with the course. So now let's bring the vehicle into our scene, the vehicle into our scene. So we have various types of vehicles here. So we used the armor tank before, and I want us to use another this thing. So basically, if you have various characters in your game, this is how you add them to the scene. You bring them, you choose the one that you want. When you want to choose them on gameplay, there are various strategies you can use. I don't want to go into that yet in this course. So let me just keep it as simple as possible. So you see that everything is still looking purple as normal, as usual. But then let me drag in the. Okay, I don't want to use this car again. I want to use a new car. So I'm just going to drag it into scene. You see, as I dragged it into my hierarchy. I didn't drag it here. If you drag it here, it usually gives issues. So you just drag it to your hierarchy. So you can easily, if you can see my mouse, I hope it's not so small. Can you see my mouse as I'm moving it? Okay, I hope it's not so small for you guys. So you can, if you drag it here, you can easily tweak the position, the rotational arguments, and everything here. So before we go into that, let us get the textures right. So for this blue vehicle, you are going to drag in the textures for it. I think this is the texture for it. Okay. So if I click on my this and press F, it will help me focus on the game object. So you can see my game object looking like a very, very nice car, very beautiful car. Very, very beautiful car, but I don't want this kind of car. So you see the wheels are still purple. One thing about all these game objects is that they are kind of the 3D artists usually builds them separately, right? When they build them separately, when you now come to your game, each component can be separate. Like now, let me say the game developer went and the artist went and combined the wheels with the original structure of the car. I want to be able to select only the wheels and edit it. Let me say I want to make the game so realistic that even the wheels will be spinning as I'm moving, right? But the main standard is that each and everything is separate. You know, if it's a human being you modeled, the head is separate, the hand is separate, the leg is separate. So we can tweak them via, like, the programmer can get to tweak them on his own. So let me now drag in the tire texture. I don't know which one is the tire texture. Normally, if it was like someone that built this model for us, you make sure all these things are well, like, written down, and like as soon as I push it into this project, you find out that it's going to be perfect. But due to that, I got it free. I think that's why it's giving issues like this. So we have to pick a particular color, texture, and attach to it, so we can see our car is looking beautiful and new. So now, if you click on play in the game, you find out that the game does not do anything. So let's just wait more. You have to be very patient as a Unity developer, because all these times of waiting, you're going to have to experience all of them. So are you seeing what I'm seeing? Look at my simulator, see my game scene. Nothing is happening. There's no life. I've not scripted anything. So Unity is actually, why Unity is the core of game development is that everything comes together in Unity. Wow. Wow, that makes sense. But everything like comes together, even the arts, the UI, the everything, the sound, they come to Unity, and then that's where you build out the game, right? The artist, you can hardly see anything like an artist that is an indie game developer. It's not possible, because who will give you engine where you go use? You understand? You cannot have an indie game sound developer. So all those things have to still come under Unity, and then you reassemble them and form a perfect game. So that being said, first of all, what we are going to fix is the positioning of my camera is not looking good. I see how it is looking. The position of my camera is not looking good. It's by the side. I want it to be viewed from the top down. So for that, I'm going to get my main camera. So if you look through my hierarchy, let me expand this part for you. If you look through my hierarchy, you can see main camera, dimensional light, directional light, environment. Okay, this one is different. Let me close it up. This one is part of the environmental files they give us, right? So this directional light and main camera. This main camera is what helps you see the game on your phone. So we all know that this is a 3D game. Yeah, we know it's a 3D game, but what you're seeing on your phone is not 3D. Hope you know that. It's like a projection. So the camera helps project one side of the 3D environment to you as the game developer. Hi, you don't take lights. Sorry. The Okay, I'm back. The camera helps project a certain area of the game to you because you cannot show the full 3D image on your phone. Your phone has to simulate some things for you through directional lights and shadows. Those are the main things. So this directional light now, I can change the color. I can say I want my directional light to be red, reddish. You understand? You see that if you look here, on the scene side, you're seeing the tint of red coming out. I mean, pink coming out. If you want it to be bluish, all these things are what you tweak in your game to make sure that at the end, the user that is playing this game is going to have his best experience. So, like, let me say I'm working on an underwater game now. My directional light should not be white. If I make it white, it's going to be it's not making sense now. How am I underwater with bright light? So you have to take it to something like deep blue. If you don't know what deep blue is, like this say for deep blue, you can go online and find the hex code and type it here. I'm just hoping that you guys can see what I'm clicking on. So that's the first part. Another thing that is very frustrating in game development with Unity is the fact that whenever you're on play mode, like your game is playing like this, nothing you do is being saved. So if I click on this thing, everything goes back to normal. It's as if all my editing has not been useful. So be very careful not to be editing your work in game scene. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to position the camera. So we'll be seeing the camera from on top. So look at the output game here. This simulator is the output of the game. So what I'll do to position my camera well is I'll go to my hierarchy and click on camera and click on F, which is going to help me focus. And then you see this panel on your scene view. You have the hand tool. The hand tool helps you, move around. It's called pan tool. The next tool is your move tool. It helps you move a game objects up and down, right? In various directions, in the Y direction, X direction, Z direction, right? So remember, we have 3 vectors. I think that one is very clear. You are in Euclidean space. So I'll click on my main camera, first of all, and then what will I do? I want to push it to be on top of the car. So the cleanest way to do it is that I click on the car, I find out the the X position of the car. The X position is at 0. So I click my camera and change the X position of my camera to 0. It's cleaner like this. Why is it cleaner like this? Because if I go and start pushing it with my hand, I may not get the exact point I need. Right. So now with this the Y and Z direction, I can now tweak it with my hand because okay, so we have to also look at there's one thing you have to notice in Unity. You see this line here is showing the field of view of the camera. So you're seeing that the camera is looking to the left-hand side or to the right-hand side, whatever direction you're watching this video from. But I want it to be looking down. So I'll take my camera up and then I'll go to this third tool here called the rotate tool. And then the rotate tool will help me rotate it down. The best way to, instead of using this tool, I don't use this tool that much, right? I just go to my rotation here and set it. So you find out that it was at 0 before. So if you take it minus 90 degrees, it will start pointing downwards. So that's what I'm going to do. So in this rotation, I'll change it to what? Minus 90. Okay, I was actually wrong. If you rotate it, you have to rotate it plus 90 degrees. And you see I'm seeing my car from the top. But then it's still not looking beautiful. This is not what I want. I want my car to be like, I want it to be like a third person view, right? A third person view. So what we are going to do is that's where we now go on this tweaking adventure. You have to now tweak the position to make sure it shows your car very well. Bring it down a little. Make sure the field of view is allowing you to see what is. Okay, I think I've messed something up. Sorry, let me Ctrl Z. This thing can be very, very tricky in game development. Trust me. You don't like you don't know how tricky it can get because especially when you're beginning, it's very hard being able to tweak all these values and make sure they don't. Okay, so I don't know why it's showing in landscape view here. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me fix that. Yes. I think I've messed this up. Let me control Z everything. Okay. Control Y. So control undo in Unity is control Y. So let's reposition our camera again. So our camera is looking like this. I want my camera to look forward. So I'll first of all rotate it on the y-axis to 0 degrees, right? You have to be very, very skeptical about this part so you don't make mistakes and get stuck like me and get stuck like me. So your X position should be at what? 0. Then the next thing you do is take it back a little, take it up a little, and then rotate it a little bit down so it can be seeing the ground. So you see that most of the things you're doing is not even really writing code. Most of the things you're doing is just tweaking the game. The position, the view of this car from the top is not fine. That's why it's looking like this. But let me go back a little. I think I like this view. So once you're done, you save. Because one painful thing that happens in Unity all the time is that sometimes Unity will crash as you're walking. Like it does not have respect. It just crash, and then all your changes have been lost. So when you open it, you have to start again. I'm sure. Trust me, it's not a funny game at all. Yeah. So now we have positioned our camera. So when I click on play, nothing still happens. Abby, let's just wait for it to play. You have to be very patient. Trust me. So nothing still happens. Okay, you see that nothing is going on in the game. There is no life, there is no script. So before we move on to that, I want us to place obstacles on the way. So if you go here, you see if a folder called obstacles. They have a lot of obstacles, and I would like to use like 3 obstacles. So I'll drag in one, another one, and you know what? I want to drag in like 5. I want many. So I like as it is now. So let me drag them into scene properly. So you see one thing is that the positioning is not looking neat. So you have to be the one to place it very well on top of the ground. Okay. You pick on other game items. All of them are looking purple, still that render issue. This is something that you'll be facing in Unity a lot. Like once you enter Unity, you have to sign up for this. It's not hard, but then sometimes it can get frustrating. Sometimes you feel like breaking your laptop. But please don't break your laptop. Then the next one, you put it up. So now what are we going to do with this thing? I want to add color to it. So I'll go back to my textures. Remember how we did it last time? So for the signs, for this guy, so I drag his texture to him. I know this because okay, this is not the correct texture. Yes, I know even know himself. Okay, let me just, it does not really matter, Sha, but it kind of matters a little. But all I'm just trying to show us is how to, place things in the scene. We are not going to do much programming here. You also need to learn shortcuts very well, like this P and Q. I mean W, Q, E, R, and C. You have to learn how to use them very well. Those letters control this panel. So if you're able to move around fast with that, it will help speed up your production very well. So I'm just dragging random materials. I don't know which material is for which, but I think I've given everything a nice material now. So when I play the game, okay, you see that the game objects are flying. All of them are flying. Like you're seeing your this guy, he's in the air. All of them are flying. So you cannot actually know when they are exactly on the ground from your distance. So one thing you can use is was rigid body. So rigid body is a component. So in Unity, there's something we call components. If you go here, you see add components. So when you click on add component, you can add what's rigid body, and that rigid body helps give them mass, gives them drag, angular drag, all these things, even ones you don't even understand. Use gravity is the one that is important. So that means that whenever the game starts playing, all of them will fall to the ground. Are we following? So I also do that to my vehicle because I need my vehicle to use gravity. Sometimes you need rigid body, sometimes you don't need rigid body. Like when we were making our game, we avoided the use of rigid body because rigid body can get, when you go higher in game development, you get to understand something called player controller. Yes, it's like a rigid body, it's like a whole package coming together. But that being said, so now if I click on play game, just give me some time, it's still loading. You see that all the game objects came to the ground immediately. Are we there? You see that you don't even need to be the one controlling the what are they calling it? You don't need to be the one controlling the gravity. Unlike in Pi game, you suffer. You control gravity, you control angular drag, center of mass, all of them. So let me give my car a mass of 100. Why I'm giving it a mass of 100? Because car is supposed to be heavier than all these things, right? So if I jam them, the car will not be the one to fly away. Do you get? You have to understand how collision works. So the lighter object is the one that feels more impact than the lower or the heavier object. Okay, collider. I didn't add collider yet. We don't need. I don't think we'll be needing collider for this course that we are going to do. But what colliders basically do is that they help you to detect collision. Yes, they help you detect collision. And okay, praise. Praise, you have a question. You
Yeah,
can go. I'm not tired of talking.
sorry to cut you. I can actually see that you added a mesh collider on the objects, because if without the collider, it will just keep falling down to eternity. So there's actually a collider, a mesh collider. That's what I want to just say.
Oh yeah, it's true. Sorry. Mesh collider is like it comes. Remember when I was talking about mesh? Did I talk about mesh here? I think I talked about mesh and colors. I don't know. But meshes are like when the 3D artist is done, there are a lot of faces that an object has. So let me say the 3D artist model the sphere. So the sphere is going to consist of multiple rectangular or triangular faces or hexagonal faces on his own side. And when he like sends it to us, those things are now called the mesh. And then this mesh collider is now helping us to, yeah, that your observation was it was on point, because without a collider, there's nothing to hold on to. Yeah, there's nothing to hold on to. So thank you for that, praise. Yeah, then okay, so I think what is next is that we should get to program the car because we don't have much time again. So let me stop the game. Please, before you go out of here, always stop the game. So now I want to just show you guys now what directional light does. So when I remove directional lights from this game, you see how everywhere becomes dark. It looks like night. You can actually implement this thing. When I was learning game development, they told us we should implement something like that. And then I just said why it was an endless runner game. And then in the endless runner, I wanted it to be like as the person is running, after some time, it will become night. After some time, it will become morning. So you can use that directional light to implement something like that. Right? It's not that complex. So let me put back my directional light. And then I'll go to my assets and create a folder called scripts. Please, script folder, this thing is very, very important. Like, I can't state how important it is. As your project gets bigger, if you see Reef, our game that we released, the project like is very, very, very big. Like, if you are that messy, we just write script and paste it here, it's going to be very hard for us to maintain the code. And trust me, in game development, you're going to be going to your code very often. Like anytime you want to do an update, Okay, depending on the strategy you're using, but you still need to go and understand what that code is doing before you make any changes. You get? So please create a folder for everything. So if you have materials, you create a folder for materials, create a folder for textures, create a folder for every single thing, UI, sound, because once it gets messy like that, your frustration is not even going to be Unity again. It's going to be yourself. So let's that organized structure is very, very nice. So to create this folder, I'll call it scripts. And for the scripts, right? Ah, I did not spell script well. Let me rename it. Okay. Rename scripts. So I created a folder called script, and inside this script now we're going to put all our game scripts. So I can create a C# script. Thank God they have brought lights. Then create a C# script, call it player controller. So first of all, I'm going to drag it into my player. So remember, it's giving life to the player, so you have to link it up with the player. And I'm not going too much of the coding. I have the script already somewhere, so I will just paste the code and explain. So now we see that if you look here, you find out that my player script is here. Yeah, player controller script is here. So you have seen that it's linked. So now I now get to my code. So this is the code for the whole player. This is the whole player's code for the demo that I showed you guys. And I don't want to get into much of the, I want to start typing everything or like from beginning again to show you how to work with script. So first of all, you define your variables. So let me increase my Visual Studio Code. So I hope it's big enough for you people. Okay, wait, can you see my screen? Can you see my, sorry, you can't even see my Visual Studio screen. I think I didn't talk. Okay. So you know what? I'm going to just share my entire screen for the purpose of that because it's going to be hard switching, from one place to another. So now in my Unity, we have this guy running, but then I want to now show you the script. So now look through the script. I'm just going to read it line by line. So we have a public class called player controller inheriting from what? Mono behavior. Mono behavior is a common class. Every game object that is running in the game usually inherits from mono behavior because of some functionalities that are there. Then you have to learn C#, obviously. I'm not going to get started in C# now. So you have a private vector tray called movement. Vector tray is a three-dimensional variable that helps hold the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and the z coordinate of your object. Then we have the private vector tray rotation. So still the same thing. This vector tray is now going to define your rotation for the whole game. Then you now have move speed. So one thing in Unity is very good to use variables, right? It will help make things easier for your game designer, game play tester. Because let's say one thing with games is that you might say, okay, let me put a speed of 10. That speed of 10 now, after some time, you find out that it's too fast. Imagine if you don't use variables. You have to come and start changing it every single place. Change speed of 10, like every single place. So, and then some places will be inconsistent, and then your game will even break in the process. So always use variables. So I created a variable called move speed for 10f. So this f that is at the back, Unity, I don't think it's not very important, but that f used to just define that it's a float. If it's a double, you put d at the back. You see, it's already giving me red because of it's supposed to be f. So we now have turn speed of 100. So this turn speed is how we'll be rotating our wheel in the game. So we now have a stats of movement equal to vector 3.0. So I have to just instantiate these variables that I created. Right? These ones are already instantiated here. But I wanted to instantiate these ones here just because I want to, because you can do it anywhere you want. So we now have our update script telling us, okay, one advantage of instantiating it here is the fact that, let me say it's the public variable. You cannot go to, like, you see these ones are public variables. The reason why I instantiated it here is that, so the user cannot come through, because if you look here, if you look at, sorry, let me go to my Unity. Okay, if you look here, you find out that, let me reload here, this side. Okay, why is it not showing? Okay, let me just play the game. You see that it will show up. Okay, sorry, I'm so sorry for the misconception. Sorry, I've not yet copied I'm still referencing the previous file that I created. But let me finish explaining this first, then we'll get to that. So updates, the start function is the function that runs once you click on play. Like as soon as you click play in your game, that start function is running. There's also another function called awake function that happens before the start function, just like few seconds before the start function, and it helps you. The awake function is used for a lot of things, like if you're using singleton pattern, which is something we'll discuss later, or so on. But start function is now used for, like, usually used for instantiating variables. If you use start function for singleton pattern, nothing will happen, but along the line, you find out that you need that awake function. You find out, it's you that will find out, not me that will explain it for you. So then after this transform.translate is now moving in the direction of movement. So the movement is at 0. So that's why whenever I click on play in the game, the car does not move at all. So it's moving based on the value of this movement. And then the rotation is equal to what? 0, 2. So it's rotating it's basically not rotating at all. Okay, sorry, who is speaking? Hello? Okay. Okay. So let's get back to our this thing. Those who were distracting us. We have input.getKey. This is a variable trying to find out, okay, which key is being pressed. So if the key is left arrow, if the key is right arrow. So that's what this if and else statement is. Better you can use switch statements here. That's better. But I was kind of rushing. So we have get the right arrow. So what the right arrow will do is that to change the rotation by 1F, right? That's one basically, a float called one. I don't know how else to explain it. So it rotates the car a little to give that illusion of, okay, I'm moving front, give that illusion of I'm going left and I'm going right, right? Then if nothing is being pressed here, you now click on what? Rotation.y is equal to 0. So you want it to be that whenever this else is covering a lot of things. It's also covering when you let the key go. So when you press it down, this get key will get the key. But when you let it go, what will hold it? So this else is what is holding it. It will now find out, okay, every other action that you do that is not left arrow or right arrow, I should let it go. Then the same thing goes for this one. Up arrow is to move front. So if you look through the game, let me go to my scene view. So you can also expand your scene view like this. So if you go to my scene view, I rotate the stuff, and hey, why was I not using this method before? So you see that the direction, this blue arrow, if you look here, Z means blue. So this blue arrow, as I'm moving it forward, that's when my vehicle is moving. So I now know that that's the variable I'm supposed to be tweaking. All right. So I go back to my script, and then I found out that movement.z is equal to 1. So whenever I click on up arrow, it will set my movement equal to 1. And then this is my update loop. This update loop runs every frame. Okay, so there's something they call frame in games. So I'll take it back from pictures and I'll walk you up. So from pictures, pictures are made up of what? Pixels, right? So from pictures, we now have videos. Videos are now made up of what? Multiple pictures moving at a particular speed measured in frames per second. So most videos, normally, the normal video for most of these YouTube videos I used to watch, the speed is 25 frames per second. But for games, it's usually 60 frames per second. Yeah, 60 frames per second. Sometimes it's due to the heaviness of your game, it can be lower, it can be more. Then after that, so every game is just going to adapt to, okay, if you're using a 32 gig RAM, so that means that I have a lot of RAM I can use. I have a lot of GPU I can use. So the program can even be running at 100 frames per second. But then if you now come to, like me that is using ITEL, by the time I put the game in my this thing, the game will even choose like 10 frames per second or something like that. So that frames per second is very, very important in what I'm about to explain now. If you look here, I did transform.translate movement times move speed, right? Movement times move speed. So my move speed is what 10 float. So whatever, this thing is just basic math. Movement is a vector, a three-dimensional variable. And we know whenever you multiply a vector with a scalar, that's a variable, this move speed. You see the variable, like it's a scalar, it just has one dimension. Once you multiply both of them, it will give you a vector back. You get? So now you're still getting that vector and rotating by that vector. Then this time, the delta time that you're seeing here is just a function that helps us work based on time and not based on frames per second. And I will explain that. So frames per second means that if I come to this lab, it's just trying to make the game balance on all platforms. So if I'm using a 2 gig phone and then I'm running at 10 frames per second, someone using a 32 gig RAM phone, you don't running at 100 frames per second. If he's playing that game, this value, if I do not use time or delta time, it will basically make it so like the car movement will be so fast, the car rotation will be so fast, and I don't want that. I want it to be balanced everywhere. So time or delta time now calculates, okay, what frame per second is this system moving at? And I'm like, okay, now let me type my value down to this value so that both of them will have the same experience. I don't know. Did that make sense? Please, I need your reaction to validate this. Okay, I'm guessing I made sense. I'm guessing people are understanding. People have reduced. What happened? Sorry. Praise, you have a question?
No, just like what time the delta time is. It's just basically real time. So from what I understand, though, that is just basically like 1 second has passed, 2 seconds has passed. So it calculates based on that.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yes.
so you can multiply your speed and not give too much speed if you just times it without the time, the delta time. Just a small contribution.
Yeah, it's well appreciated because that thing can be real messy. Because when I was watching tutorials, I'm kind of stubborn. So instead of me to continue watching tutorials, I just wanted to implement it on my own. And when I implemented it on my own, I found out that time that if I use normal variable, I have to reduce the value to like 0.00 something before it will be smooth as I want on my system. You get? But then time or delta time handles that for you, right? It handles everything for you. So thank you for the contribution. So moving on, I've talked about this thing. So basically, what this code just does is that it handles your player movement. So we are already running low on time, and I don't want to stay here till 9. Trust me, I don't want to stay here till 9 because today has been a long day. So with that, I'm going to now go back to my project. I'll minimize my scene, and then I go back to this code here. So if you double tap on it, it will open for you your code editor. You can edit. Let me say you don't like Visual Studio Code. Maybe Visual Studio Code don't vex you. You can come here and click on preferences, and then you change to. It's wasting time now. I know I said this is not a full Unity code, but I'm just trying to deliver as much as I can within the short time that I have. So if you come here, you see external script editor. You see Visual Studio Code. So you can change. I have Visual Studio 2022. I hate that one because it used to mess with my CPU. So I'm not going to use it. So let's continue. So when I now go to the code of this guy, I see the same boilerplate code of start and update. So I trust the authors, obviously. So let me just basically paste my code so we can see it at work. I don't want to bore you with reprogramming everything from the beginning. So I'll delete the existing ones here. Okay. In game development, at some point, if you find out that this start and update function may not even be that useful, at the point you have to even be deleting it because it's like wasting space, right? So it will always take some time to compile your script. If there's any error in your script, it will not work. So please, if you look here, you see console, let this thing load finish. Then we'll see the console. But the console is going to show you the logs of every error, which file that the error is in, and so on and so forth. So if I click on console here, you can see our errors. So there are no errors for now. You see, our dev, no errors. So let's play our game. Oh, I forgot something. And this thing is something that affects developers 99% of the time out of 100. Trust me. And 9% of the time, people they don't like now. I didn't link. Okay, I link it. Okay, wow. I did it right this time. But normally we usually forget to link our this thing. So if you see now, my rotational script is working. So now you see I can move. But then you see there's a problem. I'm not following my camera to move. I'm not following my car to move. My car just left me. And that's not right at all. It's not right because I need to be seeing what is ahead of me. I cannot be here and be seeing everything. So I'll stop the game. So there are many implementations for this, but I'm going to use the simplest implementation possible. It's not even advised that I even use this implementation, but just for this tutorial, I'm going to use it because we are not like the better implementation is that you create a different script for your camera and then set an offset of your camera from your player. And then when your player is moving, you set a script that will also be making your camera to move at the same time. So that's the normal implementation. But for simpler implementation, I'll just drag my camera into my vehicle objects. I hope you can see it. And once I drag it, both of them become like one. So the vehicle now becomes like the parent object. So anywhere it moves, my camera just automatically follows it. So I think that's enough implementation for this short tutorial. So when I click on play, I think we are coming to an end of this whole tutorial. For those people that are bored, so sorry for the length of time using this tutorial, but promise you that next time we'll try and manage time better. So you see now, even the rotation. So that's the reason why I say that this is not a good implementation, is the fact that the rotation is too static. And then you don't have opportunity for late updates. There's something called late updates, right, in Unity. And that late update is very important. You see how fun it is. I don't know, but I kind of like it. So you just tend to topple things over. The reason why all these things are flying out is because I set the speed of the velocity of my car, the mass of my car to 100. Where is that? In my rigid body. I set the velocity to, oh, sorry, okay, the mass of the car. I think I set it to 100. Wow. So it's even 1. So what's the mass of the barrel? The mass of the barrel is 1. Mass of the car is 1. But just watch if I set the mass of my car to 0.1, you find out that as I'm playing the game, look how hard it is for me to push this guy. I see that like my screen is shaking. I don't know that you're noticing it. You're seeing like the screen is shaking because it requires enough force before this guy can actually move. I see how the guy is, toppling over. But when my mass was 1, everything was normal. Let me increase my mass to 100. You see how easy it will be. So let's do that. This is just minor tweaks, and this is where your game designer comes in. He gets to find out, okay, what works best. You're seeing that nothing is shaking, like nothing will happen because of the mass of the car is, hey, I'm falling off. The mass of the car is this thing. So you can actually, there's something they call game modding. I think this is the end of our lesson. I'll drop for those people that are eager to implement this thing, right? I can drop the code for you on the package for you on the group so you can download and try it out yourself, right? But this last area, what I want to just talk about is game design. The game designer comes in this point, and that's where game design is very beautiful. You find out, okay, at this point now, I've added all the mechanics, but the game is still boring. After 10, let me say I'm so addicted to doing nothing that I come to this game and I spend 10 hours and I keep on just moving around this single lane. It will get boring at some point, won't it? It will get boring, obviously. So what do I do to do it to make the game better? I can add more challenges. I can say, okay, you know what? I want it to be that there'll be some enemy cars attacking me, And then as these cars are attacking me, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to maneuver all of them and stay on this single lane. You see now, actually, honestly speaking, I didn't even think of this thing before this call. It's just now I just thought of it. So once you're good in game design, you'll be able to find out, okay, I can make this thing better like this. I saw, remember, I said we're already done for this Unity session. So in case you have any questions, you can be dropping them on the comment section as I'm, wrapping up. So I saw this video online of people playing rock, paper, scissors. Jesus, wow. Why is the only one person? Okay, people playing rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, remember as I said, it's like, the game is it's not about skill. Please, I'm coming. It's not about skill, it's more of, random distribution, like it's random. Do you get, like, sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking, I'm just playing anything that the first thing that comes to my head. But then if you want to play it with strategy, actually there are some strategies to rock paper scissors. But then you see these people, they came and brought that rock paper scissors game and modified it. This is what is called game modding, and very, very important to game development. They came, modified this game and removed the normally in rock paper scissors, your goal is what? To maybe win your opponent, maybe 3-0 or 5-0 or 10-0. But then what they did is that they put a path, two people on the sides of the path. So what will happen is that this person starts running from this side, the other person starts running from this side, not run, but jumping on each square as you move. So you keep on moving forward. When you now meet anybody on the way, you play rock, paper, scissors, and then whoever wins continues on that path. Whoever loses leaves the path. So the goal has now changed from winning your opponent to making it to the end of your road. You see how beautiful that game modification is. It makes the game, like, when I was watching that content online, I found out that the video was like 3 minutes long. No, I mean, up to 1 hour 30 minutes. I mean, 1 minute 30 seconds. But I stayed there. I was just invested to know who's going to win. Do you get? So it must not be a very complex game. You can carry Tetris now and be like, what can I do to Tetris to make it better? We know Tetris, normal Tetris from our Pia phone, these button phones, that you just be moving it left and right and placing it. But then there's this new Tetris that came out in screen touch phones, where you'll give you different types of block. You place the ones that are, I don't know that I have played that game. That game is also very, very addictive. Because of they took Tetris, they modified the game, they made something better. They did not go and make Tetris verbatim. They made something what better. So game motivation and game design is very, very important. And with these few points of mine, or with these plenty points of mine, I hope I've been able to show you that game development is not hard. It's just in your mind and so on. So Praise, you said you have a question, please. You can shoot.
Sorry, it's more of like, I don't know. Can I get your details after this so we can talk? I'm also a game developer. I just actually joined and I was excited about how you taught it. So I don't know if I can get
Sorry.
it.
I didn't even complete my presentation. Wow. I didn't complete my presentation. So can you see my screen? Okay, you can see my screen. Nice. So we talked about Unity, we talked about game design. So now in conclusion, let me read the conclusion because let me just read the conclusion. So you say, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've covered a lot of ground today, from design to actual code. If you feel a little overwhelmed, that is normal. Game programming is a steep mountain to climb. It's rarely easy at the start. That's why I am here to, loosen the this thing for you, the cap of the jar for you. Then I said, but views from the top, seeing players enjoy something you built is worth every bug and every error message. And trust me, it's very true. It is very, very true because imagine, I remember we finished playing, making Reef, and I went somewhere. This is no more a situation whereby you come to your friends and tell them, you know what, play this game or I shoot you or something like that. You force them basically to play the game. So they give you their feedback. But I saw somebody willingly playing a game I created. I was like, it was a call to Jesus moment for me. I'm not going to lie, the feeling is unmatched. So
Hallelujah.
So what I said here is very, very true. Is what every bug and every error message. Today was just the icebreaker. Trust me, just the icebreaker. There's a lot to be discovered. The rest of the journey is up to you. Go make something amazing. Thank you for listening. And then for my for my socials, you can meet me on X06, LinkedIn, Chimzuruoke, and more. You know, LinkedIn has to be official, so that's why it's my full name. Then Medium. So if you look at the flyer, you see that I'm also a writer. I say that I have a lot of caps. Today I can be a game developer, tomorrow backend developer, next tomorrow computer science student. So there are a lot of things I do. I also do some creative writing. So you can check me out on Medium on this username. So with that, I think we'll drop the Tochku will drop the slides, right? Okay, on Discord. Hey, I didn't even maybe I'll send that one separately because my Discord is Discord used to take time to open. I don't have that. I don't have the time for that one. And my laptop is kind of okay, it's not low. Okay, it's even charging. Hey, wait, it's light. Sorry. So I'll drop my Discord handle later, probably on the group. And then any person that has any question, you can tag me on GDG, UNN Game Developers Group, and please tag me because if you just drop the question there, I will not see it. Please. So any question you have, I'll just answer it from there. Let me keep my details on the screen in case you want to.
Sorry,
See
I'm
it.
not. Sorry, I'm not on the group.
Tochukwu, how far? Supposed to he's there's a group link. I think he's going to send it, add it to the chat, or maybe we'll send it to you directly. Tochukwu, please provide the link for the UNNGDG game developers. Yeah, we have a new convert. So I think I'm done. I'm done. You can take over from here. Hello, is anyone there? Or have I been cut off from the network? DT network, sorry.
I still hear you.
Okay, so I think it's Tochukwu's network. I don't know that I should round it up. I think maybe he's having network issues. I don't know why he's not on site, but
Okay, guys, sorry, I am actually here, but I am in the meeting, right? So thank you so much. I have listened so far, and I'm actually in another meeting right now. So that's why I took so long to respond. Right. Anyways, thank you so much, Chimzuruoke, and thank you for this wonderful session. I am not a game developer, and matter of fact, I don't like playing game. No, I'm not a game fan, but I loved how you presented your stuff. I loved how you explained the code from top to bottom and explained how everything works. And I can confidently say that, well, I don't know. I can build a game, especially this one you use now. I can drag and drop and write some code that would do some things. But I don't know how sure I am. But yeah, thank you so much for this wonderful session. And yeah, we're all grateful to have you here as our speaker. And yeah, we will be uploading the recording for this session also on our YouTube playlist. Do well to give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for more updates, right? Then this workshop is going to come to an end tomorrow with a final session. Now we have learned what gaming, game development, games, what they're all about. So, and we have learned how to build them. Now, tomorrow's session is going to be about how you can make a living from being a gamer, a game tester, a game developer, what have you. So, how to make money from game development or the game ecosystem in general. So, you can't afford to miss this one because I think this is the summit of it all. So, you have learned how to fish. Now, it is now time to learn how to make money, how to sell your fish. So, invite your friends, Even those that have not been to the session for once, invite them because we have the recordings on YouTube where they can go and watch it to get up to speed with what we have so far. So thank you so much for everyone who stuck around till the end. Thank you so much, Chimzuruoke, for the wonderful session, and we hope to see you all tomorrow. You all and more. I mean, so drag your friends, yeah, bring them here. It's going to be the same time, same venue tomorrow by 7 p.m. West African time. Thank you so much for being here and have a good night rest.
Please, the link. I've not seen the link yet.